Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Product Coalition European Tour, where today I'm very excited to be joined by Vamsi Wuppalapati. Welcome, Vamsi.
Hey, glad to be here. How are you?
Great to have you on. I'm really looking forward to the session. Apologies, I'm not in Berlin and we're not meeting face-to-face as planned.
Totally fine, and kudos to you that you're trying to keep it up even virtually during these crisis times. Thanks a lot.
I'm sure the audience is going to get plenty of value out of this session regardless. If you are tuning in, this is a remote recording of the podcast. Unfortunately, it's not face-to-face, so we may have some dropouts or audio issues. Apologies for that. Doing my best given the situations for these remote recordings. So this episode and every episode of the Product Coalition European Tour is dedicated to raising awareness and support for the bushfire affected communities and wildlife in Australia. If you enjoy this episode, you can show your support for 3 different causes: the volunteer firefighters, the wildlife, or the National Bushfire Fund of Australia over at bushfire.productcoalition.com. Now, I'm recording with product leaders across 5 cities in Europe, and I'm doing that to gain insights, knowledge and experience to share with you, the global Product Coalition community. If you've just discovered the community, welcome to Product Coalition. We're a group of 500,000 readers, 6,000 Slack members and thousands of podcast listeners. And if you'd like to know more about the community as a whole or grab a membership, you can do so over at platform.productcoalition.com. Now, I'd like to get started by giving a thank you to some brands and individuals that have been significant donors to the campaign so far. First up is UserPilot. UserPilot is a code-free user onboarding and adoption tool designed especially for product management teams. UserPilot helps to increase conversion, user retention rates and reduce churn by guiding new users to their first aha moment with interactive walkthroughs, contextual product tours and onboarding checklists. It allows product managers to build fully customizable, behavior-triggered in-app experiences with a simple visual editor. Go to userpilot.com to grab a demo and get a free trial. Shobit Chug is a Google product manager. Shobit helps product managers become product leaders and have careers they can be proud of. Head over to intentionalproductmanager.com and sign up for Shobit's free class on the habits that turn product managers into exceptional product leaders and help them move through their careers fast. Product-led teams like Mixpanel and Flexport know that the best time to capture engagement is when a user is already inside the product. That's why they use Chameleon to drive feature adoption, build onboarding flows, and gather user feedback. You can give it a go at trychameleon.com/success. 2 individuals I'd also like to thank are Rich Mironoff and Chris Miles. Now, Vamsi, I'm looking forward to getting stuck in and talking about the untold opportunity of building products in the circular economy with you. This is going to be great.
Yeah, I'm super excited to be here for that.
Before we get stuck into the topic, do you mind giving us a bit of background on yourself, Vamsi, and your path into product?
Sure thing. So I come from a very humble, middle-class, educated Indian family. So both my parents have been working with government of India and the states over there, representing accounts and engineering departments. So if you look into Indian middle class, most of the guys would be moving towards becoming engineers or medicos. By default, I have chosen engineering path. Not super successful with my studies in the early stages, but I started working as a QA engineer. Pretty much moved towards becoming a product analyst, and worked for 4 years around with Sapient Consulting and a little bit with Oracle, and I did my master's in business at Smurfit Business School in University College Dublin. Got a great opportunity to work as a strategy consultant there with British Telecom. And then I started my product management career with Fidelity Investment. That was back in 2010. So with Fidelity, we were trying to build a very unique BPM product suite for all the brokerage and fund management companies. So it was an internal kind of a SaaS product at that point in time that gave me an opportunity to venture into what product management is all about. Though I've started kind of an agile product owner, where most of my job was, collaborating with the senior product leaders and working very closely with my designer and engineering teams. So after the aftermath, I've been doing hop on, hop off tours. So for for around 2 years, I was with Fidelity, and then took a took a kind not a break, kind of. I took an opportunity to become an entrepreneur where during those days in Bangalore. There's a lot of startup ecosystem hype coming in back in 2012, 2013. It was not just a hype, but fundamentally it was in the initial stages. So we thought like, why can't we do a product management consulting action for all those startups where we would be able to help the super smart founders in order to build their MVP, validate it, the right way to go to the markets, and try to hit on helping them some sort of pitch decks for the angel investors. In those days, it was not a very open VC culture in Bangalore. So did that for 2 years, quite okay, but we did not make revenues. It was close to around 2 years, and then meanwhile we also did some pivot of doing this consulting for MNCs, made some revenues, but then we shut the shop with some learnings and moved towards the industry, where I joined a super interesting startup at those times called Lazada, which was famously termed as Amazon of Southeast Asia. Today, it's acquired by Alibaba a couple of years back, and it's the largest e-commerce player in Southeast Asia. So I was leading the product team for supply chain, a little bit of cross-border commerce, and mainly last mile. As I told you, I was on hop off tour. So Lazada, I was traveling around all Southeast Asian countries to get stuff done at the same time, working with multiple stakeholders. It was a overwhelming experience. After a couple of years, during the times when we were acquired by Alibaba, so there was a time where I had to do some explorative options, whether I wanna come back to India or opportunities. Though opportunities were there, I chose to move back to India. Though there was a short stint in Singapore at the same time, moved back to India, joining a super interesting startup called Rento Mojo. Renter Mojo is very much focused for the millennials and Gen Zs who doesn't want to own products by buying, but by subscribing or renting. So it's mainly for the B2C commerce, the initial stages of the company. Initially joined to take care of product and multiple other verticals like customer experience and stuff. Was there for around 2 years, where we moved from a pre-seed situation to Series B situation for around 2 years. We've grown from almost 15-20 subscribers when I joined to 50,000 subscribers. There was amazing experience with some of the co-founders that I worked with at that point in time. And I was leading product, customer experience, and risk operations, and leading teams of around like 80 to 85. Did an exit after Series B. And once again, I continued my hop on, hop off, thinking like, I want to explore the other part of the world, which is Europe, once again. And I came to Berlin. So tried exploring myself with different strains. HelloFresh was great for some time. I was leading the products over there for getting HelloFresh into new markets and innovation. But at the same time, I got hooked with another opportunity. It's not just an opportunity, my observation, that what we tried solving in the markets with Rentomojo back in India was the same problem in this part of the world, especially European cities. So that's where I started working on. And initially, we launched B2C, where we tried building the product in order to provide furniture and rentals for free, for subscription basis, and then did a quick pivot, and now focusing on B2B to solve the problems of capex and converting them to opex and almost all sorts of maintenance problems. So currently, what we are trying to do is like Rentrust is startup where we are trying to provide subscription based services for offer co-working spaces, housing market, small and medium tier companies, so that whenever they want to rent out their apartment by furnishing, we take care of all the furnishing needs. We do the furnishing, whether it is appliances, furniture, and we charge on an end-to-end basis on a monthly perspective. So that's fundamentally I've been doing. It's a great hop on hop off tour, and yeah, lovely to be here.
Wow, your tour sounds like it's never ending. It makes my tour look like a drop in the ocean compared to your tour over the years. Fantastic. And what a great experience. I mean, outside of product management, what a great experience, I'm sure, to be able to do that travel as well and experience different countries and cultures, whilst also leading into the economy and some business problems. That's amazing.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Yeah, I'm enjoying my ride so far. So good. Let's see. Especially the COVID situation is totally different, and a lot of innovation has to happen, changing the business model. So let's see.
Yeah. There's certainly plenty of pivoting to come from many businesses and products with what's happening right now. Do you mind giving us a bit of an intro into? Unfortunately, I can't be in Berlin, so I don't know what the product ecosystem's like over there. Could you talk me through what have I missed out on by not being able to get to Berlin, Vamsi?
Sure thing. It's super interesting to be in Berlin. Apart from the COVID situation, which has really triggered almost all the markets, almost all the startup ecosystems down. But I can only speak about my experience that's coming from Southeast Asian markets or Indian markets, or predominantly working with value-based companies in the past. So Berlin is in a very interesting stage, mainly because if you look into the economical strength of Germany, the backbone, one of the key backbones that they say is like the Mittelstand companies. And these Mittelstand companies are the ones which were built by the baby boomers of 70s and 80s, mainly into manufacturing, automobile, and industry-related ones. And then there's a lot of IT.com and boom that has come from America, which was captured pretty well by UK, a little bit by Europe, but mainly by India and China. But there was also a shift from IT services to product-based companies and product innovation that was happening, which started in Berlin around like 5-7 years back, which means like it is at the start of the growth on the curve when it comes to innovation with startup ecosystem. So Berlin has tremendous opportunity. At the same time, it's not as matured as Silicon Valley, or not on top of the game like Beijing, or not even a huge ecosystem like Bangalore. So Berlin comes with an integrity of very young professionals, artistic people that are coming with different mindset. At the same time, good, great entrepreneurs who have already been successful and trying to help out the ecosystem. It's a little small, but lot of opportunity and a lot of value prop in order to build great products for the world. There are also some downsides, which is like Berlin ecosystem. If you look into it largely, maybe it's because of the experience of the then founders compared to the now founders. Product was always termed as kind of a part of an IT service where the business stakeholders would require would have some requirements in order to convert them into an IT solution, and product guys were perceived as just the bridge. But slowly the ecosystem also realized businesses are nothing but models of the product. So that education and the transformation has picked up in the very recent times. I'm bullish about the ecosystem, how it is at least shaping up, but long way to go.
Brilliant, thank you. Thanks for sharing. That's good to hear. So let's get stuck into the topic of building products in the circular economy. Do you mind defining the circular economy for us to get started?
Yeah, sure. So I would probably give my own definition. What you get from World Economic Forum to, Wikipedia, Google might be a little different. So, any product or a service which extends its lifetime nature, depending on the touch points of the product, how it is being used, either by companies or by clients or by consumers, is predominantly a circular economy. So to keep it a little simple, um, whenever, for example, when there is a product, let's take an example of a dining table. Okay, a dining table. If you get into the typical marketplace buying selling model, a dining table, would be bought for X price and would be used by a consumer for around 2 years. And after 2 years, it might go back it might go not back, it would go to the secondary market. And secondary market, obviously, the value would decrease. At the same time, the lifetime of that would also get reduced, because in the secondary market, it is only changing the hands once or twice. And then it is going almost to the trash around third or fourth year, after changing the hands of two or three customers or people, so on and so forth. What's happening here is, the lifetime of this particular product called dining table would would have been around like 8 to 10 years, even with wear and tear. Um, but because it is going on to the trash, it is typically going to the waste around 4 to 5 years, which is like fundamentally, there's a lot of waste that is happening. So a circular economical product is something where someone who would come, it might be a secondary market or it might be a rental market. Those guys would say like, hey, we have this particular product, and you use for 2 years, and then we would move it to for another client or another customer for another 2 years. Like that, we would try to continue. We would extend the lifetime of the product for another 8 9 years at least, though the value rental would be decreased constantly, but the lifetime of it has been increased, which generates higher value of the product and also better thing for the ecosystem. So that's what circular economy is all about. It's like, the product is not just getting onto the trash very soon; it is moving from hand to hand. So that's also termed as shared economies and so forth.
Okay, all right, interesting. Do you mind talking me through then what's the opportunity in the product space for designing or building products with intent for that type of economy?
It's also an interesting question, because if you need to talk about, sorry, if you need to talk about how the opportunity is there henceforth, we have to take a little step back on how the whole economy has been evolving, how the trends are coming in. I'm still keeping COVID as a constant. We can also talk about the influence or challenges of COVID or something. But if you look into the global trends largely, urbanization is a huge global trend. Climate change is a big global trend. The consumption of millennials is something which is remarkably changing the way a lot of business models are happening, and the influence of technology. People say Industry 4.0, so on and so forth. The impact of AI and ML. So these trends is what we first need to understand. But when you want to understand these trends, let's talk about quickly urbanization. There is an estimate that showcases like within this decade, another 1 billion people are gonna get added towards the urbanization aspects. And I know this urbanization would have multiple product categories or businesses like co-living, private rental spaces, student housing, uh, rental opportunities for multiple products. It might not just be furniture or appliances. It can be for electronic products, fashion, so on and so forth. Now, climate change, as we were talking about the circular economical definition some time back, climate change is where it has a huge impact that, there are economic losses that are also coming from the ecological impact. Around $129 billion of economical impact has happened because of the climate change. They say there is 7% increase in CO2 emission. So these are all factors that we need to consider. And then we were talking about like millennial consumption. So if you look into the millennials, US, India is just a millennial country. Like by 2024 or 2025, they say like, or at least it's predicted that 75% of Indian population would be with an average age of 26, which is like around close to 800 million people. And the spending power of millennials might increase to $23 trillion in another coming decade. So these are the trends and opportunities that we definitely have to look at. And for me, for building any product, if you have to consider something, I genuinely believe that the human needs, whenever they are met, that's where the maximum amount of commerce or the product value would be generated. And that's where, we can probably talk about millennials around over here.
Okay, interesting. Can I ask, we've talked through the opportunity space there and the problem area. When it comes to prototyping or experimenting on a product concept for the circular economy, is it any different to traditional SaaS, for instance? And if so, how?
Yeah, so once again, it comes from the behavioral aspect, the behavioral change. So if you look into the millennials or the Gen Zs, the way they are, their purchase behavior, their lifestyle, all these things have a huge impact if you want to build certain amount of product. So let's talk about a category called electronics. Okay, so earlier, millennials were using electronics just to chat among themselves, or Gen Zs or chat among themselves. But today, it's more about, it has moved from a normal e-commerce purchase behavior to a social commerce, wherein there are a lot of influencers who are making an impact on the millennials, or millennials themselves trying to become influencers with the likes of Instagram, TikTok, and many other products that are in the market, where they would themselves be able to showcase the actual value add of the product in terms of videos, so that a lot of consumers would be able to buy it. I can give you a certain trend that is happening, which is like, if you look into the millennials and the way their purchase patterns are, social commerce has just started as an impact. If you look into the wave, earlier the commerce was coming in, the first wave was mainly on YouTube's, Facebook, so on and so forth. The first wave was YouTube, e-commerce companies, so on and so forth. The second wave has come with Instagram, TikTok, so on and so forth. The third wave of social commerce is going to be pretty much video and content based. That's where a lot of social apps that are coming in. I can probably talk about one or two. You can look at SimSim in India. Even during their early stages, they are able to pick a lot of traction. There's some amazing product called Misho, where they were able to tap the social commerce of different groups via WhatsApp. So these are amazing opportunities and trends that you would be able to see the way behavioral impact would have on building the products.
Fantastic. Thank you. Can I ask, what type of metrics do you use when bringing a product like this to market to identify that you're on the right path to success? Again, are they different to traditional SaaS metrics?
Yes. So if we are talking about the circular economical products, so fundamentally, if you take it on a very high level or on the top view, the metrics are always almost the same. If it is an e-commerce company, they look at the GMV as one of the metrics. If it is a SaaS product, it is an ARR and MRR that they're trying to look into it. For example, what we're trying to build, the circular economical product, which is a little between B2B and B2C. So for us, one of the key important metrics is the CLT and CLTV, the CAC versus the CLTV. So if it is a consumer product, if we are looking at, Fundamentally, we look at, the metric of, what is the amount of cost that we are able to spend in order to acquire the particular customer. The second metric, most important one, is like how well we are able to engage this particular customer for these 12 months or 13 months of time. Let's take an example, just a couple of examples. HelloFresh typically sells subscription-based online meal kits, right? Or if you want to take Netflix. So Netflix is, selling video content online on a subscription basis. So I come on Netflix. So there is certain amount of CAC that is involved. Imagine if a CAC is around $50 to acquire me. It depends on the amount of lifetime that I'm actually engaged with Netflix. If it is 6 months, then it is the ratio between my lifetime with the CAC. So these are the main metrics. Of course, during this engagement, what are the better ways in order to, make your product so well so that the end consumers or the customers would be able to talk about your product, refer your product for more people. So that is something which is one of the key factors or key indicators to imply the network effects. And social commerce in the very near future is all about network effects.
Brilliant. Thank you. Can I ask, what are some of the challenges you're seeing right now when it comes to building products with the context of this COVID-19 situation?
So that's a very interesting thing. I mean, for the innovation aspect or as a product persona, or part of the ecosystem, it's really a challenging situation for any one of us. Take not just the large institutions, even the smallest institutions, where people constantly have to move towards pivoting their business models and according to the needs. So let's talk about COVID. Okay, pre-COVID, I can only talk about pre-COVID and now COVID. I don't know much about what's going to happen, in the very near future of 1 year. Probably a 3 months prediction, right? So pre-COVID, what was the situation? Pre-COVID, people were able to go online, either buy the products on Insta or download the social apps or go online, buy the products, and they're able to, increase the revenues or values of the businesses. In turn, getting the products, the customers are also getting good value. But then when COVID has come into picture, all the numbers have changed. When we talk about the numbers, not just the markets. So there is huge trend for fashion that was happening from past 1 to 2 years, especially in the social commerce markets. Now, fashion, if it has to grow up, then fashion is fundamentally a product where people would love to wear their attitude and while mingling socially with people, whether it is at your workplace or whether it is at a party place or some coffee shop, so on and so forth. But that situation is not there now. Then what's happening to the fashion market? It's definitely the sales and the revenues are really going down. But if you look into a market called healthcare, there was definitely an upsurge of sales. If you look into if you look into the fitness market, home fitness market specifically, there is an upsurge in sales because people are staying back. If you look into productivity apps, there is definitely an upsurge in sales. What I'm trying to say is, like, during COVID situation, if you want to build a COVID solid product, understanding the human needs becomes very important. In this COVID situation, if I'm staying back at my home, what do I do from morning till evening? And what are the possible top-notch priority things that I would do? Like whether it is on Slack or whether I'm chatting with my colleagues, or I'm able to download some apps in order to work or build some more products, or do I actually sit back at home and start constantly purchase? If I'm purchasing, am I purchasing fashion products or electronic products versus am I purchasing grocery products? Because I don't know for the near future if I would be able to get them or not. At the same time, should I purchase bulky or should I have some sort of limitation like, hey, the needs might change in the near future? So building COVID solid products becomes a huge challenge, which means like once again trying to understand, once again talking to the customers and quickly trying to change or pivot your model would be an advantage. I'm talking only about startups over here, because large companies, if Airbus has to build innovation, so it would take a lot of time for Airbus, and if they have decided innovation or innovative model, maybe the COVID situation would have been passed. You never know. So that's the COVID solid situation. The predicting is like maybe for 3 to 6 months, whatever you're trying to build, predict it with an assumption for 3 to 6 months. Definitely still talk to your possible clients and possible customers in order to see whether you want to build this particular pivoted product. Now, how big is this particular product? How large is this business model is going to be pivoted? You should definitely assess the impact, whether you want to keep on hold for some time or you want to go further.
Interesting. Thank you for sharing. I can certainly imagine there's many data scientists out there right now during this COVID situation who's seeing their machine learning models completely screwed up due to change of behaviours, patterns, etc., of people being at home, and it changes everyone's lives completely.
Absolutely. Maybe there is also a possible prediction in the very near future, like because of COVID, it is also an example for a lot of businesses and especially governments to take an initiative to push, circular economical models socially, or, shared economical models further, so that we not just take care of our businesses, but also there is an impact ecologically. We don't know. We need to see.
Yeah, certainly going to, I think, provoke mindset shifts or accelerate mindset shifts and accelerate concepts like the sharing economy and circular economy rapidly now. Thank you so much, Vamsi, for talking me and the audience through the circular economy and the opportunity of building products in this space. I've really enjoyed and learnt a lot from this episode.
Likewise, thanks a lot for this opportunity. Of course, I've been following your podcast, and there's a lot of learnings, and it's always about how well we would be able to learn and evolve ourselves.
Brilliant. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you to everyone for listening in or watching on YouTube. It's been a pleasure to host Vamsi and bring Vamsi to you for this episode. I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and please remember that this recording and all the recordings of the European tour are dedicated to raising awareness and funds for the bushfire affected communities of Australia, who will undoubtedly take a toll from the COVID situation as well, due to the lost tourism dollar that Australia is typically so dependent on. If you'd like to support 3 different causes, you've got the volunteer firefighters, the wildlife, or the National Bushfire Fund there. You can do so over at bushfire.productcoalition.com. Vamsi, thank you again for being part of this episode. It's been great.
Pleasure has been mine. Thanks a lot, Jay.
Thank you. And thank you all for listening in. I'll bring you a new episode very soon. Cheers.